Hello everyone, my name is Marco and welcome to Promatic International headquarters here in England. Today we want to start a series of informative and advertising videos, and what better way to inaugurate this long series of videos if not with the 2024 Olympic gold medal and Olympic record owner Nathan Hales. Thanks Nathan for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So congratulations again on winning the Olympic gold. So first, what are we doing to celebrate this huge achievement?
So initially I didn't have too much time to celebrate with media and everything like that, so managed to grab a beer and a couple of slices of pizza with the family. Managed to have a few days relaxing after the games, a bit of a holiday with the family, which was lovely to get to spend some time with them after being separated off for the games. So yeah, spent some time with them, got home and a few small celebrations, a lot more media. So now things are starting to settle down, so starting to relax and enjoy the moment.
And so what has life been like since you won the Olympic medal?
Busier than it was before. It's been very busy, but it's been really good. I've tried to embrace it all, get involved with all the different media invites that I've had, and really take the best opportunity to try and promote myself, try and promote the sport, and try and create that awareness that it is very available for people to get into and come and have a go, and how much fun it can be just to have a go.
And tell us about your practice routine. How often were you training weekly for the Olympic Games?
So for me personally, I find it's best not to train too much. So my more bulk sessions are through the winter, and then I sort of taper off before competitions and then build back up after, which I find works best for me. So for instance, on the build up to the games, I was in Italy 2 weeks prior. I had 5 or 6 days there training every day with not quite every day, but with a couple of days off. And then I only shot once then on the 10 days prior to going out to Chateauroux. So I shot once then. I shot 3 days of training with 1 round a day in Chateauroux, had a day off, and then shot the 3 rounds of official and straight into competition. So that's how I find works best for me. I know some people find it better to shoot volume before an event, but for me, I like to feel fresh, and so I don't tend to train too close to an event. So for me, a week, 10 days before, then I'll probably stop shooting on the build up to a big event.
Right, so you mentioned Italian shooting range, which I suppose it was Lonato or Umbriaverde, one of these two.
Yep.
But where here in the UK we used to train mostly?
So I train at Nut Hempstead pretty much full time. Obviously Promatic machines. I train at Bisley because it's a bit closer sometimes, but Nut Hempstead is where I do the bulk of my training. It's got the big bank like Lonato, so the background is absolutely perfect. The clays look very bright even in the dull Nut Hempstead conditions that we normally get there with the wind and the rain, but it's a great facility, and I feel very lucky to be supported by Promatic and Nut Hempstead and be able to have that as my premier facility. So
back to the final in Châteauroux. Has been there a moment when you thought about yes, I won it?
Yeah,
a specific one.
Yeah, so obviously 4 targets from home, peg 3. I shot the target on peg 3. I heard the big cheer of the family, the whole crowd, but I could really hear my family. My partner Charlotte, she's got a very, she can be very vocal at times. So I heard her. Then I really knew that I'd won. I felt pretty good the whole way through. Felt very comfortable. Enjoyed the whole atmosphere of the crowds and them getting behind you or getting behind all the athletes. But you know, I really enjoyed that feeling, and that was the first for me to feel that kind of buzz from a crowd. I haven't shot in front of a big crowd at a multi-sport event before, so yeah, I just really enjoyed.
In the other events, like in the ISSF World Cup, you don't often have this kind of crowd behind you watching you. So did it help you in being less nervous in that situation?
I don't know about less nervous. I felt comfortable on the range, but I went for a walk an hour before all my rounds, up and down, a couple of lengths up and down the range, just to re-familiarise the thoughts and the feelings of the crowds and the emotions of all that. I found it very emotional, but really enjoyed it at the same time. And I found those moments walking up and down worse than when I had my gun on my shoulder and was getting ready to shoot. I found that slightly more comfortable than feeling the crowds before that.
Because in that moment, what was getting through your head? What was
I think
your thought?
the realisation of the event you're at,
Yes.
it's no different to any other event in the terms of, you know, the way the competition's run. It is, the name of the event's different, the crowds are different, but apart from that, it's the same people, you know, same facilities that we get to shoot on throughout the world, and it's pretty similar. But yeah, I loved it, I really enjoyed it and tried to embrace it all.
So that's mostly the mentally part of the shooting.
For sure.
Has there been also a physical preparation for the games?
Yes, I had a strength and conditioning coach who I worked with on the probably 18 months on the build up to the games. I didn't do too much before that, but I felt it was something that I could improve on. So I worked a lot on my lower back and upper back and core stability, which was where my bulk of my strength and conditioning program was based on, and I found that a big help. Just for a lot of it, you don't get the fatigue that you got before, which, you know, on those days that you need to train a bit harder or a bit longer makes those days that much easier. So yeah, that was a big advantage, and you know, when you feel fit and you feel strong, it helps you mentally as well. So.
And the weather conditions in Châteauroux were very different because you passed from freezing cold to very hot.
Yep.
So how did you cope with this huge changes?
For me, I like the heat, so that wasn't too much of a problem. Like I say, I was in Italy 2 weeks before, and it was also around 40 degrees. So in parts of my training, I sat out for 30 minutes in the heat before shooting a mock final with my coach and psychologist. So we had worked on all these things and prepared, obviously, best case scenario that we would be in those same situations in Paris or in Châteauroux. But yeah, so we trained for every event we could imagine. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to the future shooters if they like to make your same path?
I think just get involved with the British shooting program, the pathway, wherever you can get on the program, get started. Really embrace and make the most of all the opportunities. If you're a part of the program, you have access to a lot of different areas, whether it's strength and conditioning coach, psychologist, and I think it's important to make the most of those. When I first started, I didn't. I was sort of a bit scared, I guess, or didn't really know much about it, so you tend to just pull back and don't really get involved. But I think when I started to get involved in those kind of things, you realise how much they can benefit you. So just really get involved in every opportunity that you get, make the most of it, take advice from everyone, but pick the little bits that you feel are going to work rather than try and listen to everything, and then go and give it a go and give it your best shot and follow it.
When did you start shooting?
So I started shooting a few clays when I was about 5, with both sides of my family shot from farming backgrounds. So Dad shot clays fairly competitively, so always travelled the shooting grounds of him and my brother-in-law at the time. They shot together, so travelled the country with them, carrying their bags, picking up clays and cartridges on the way around, and
doing the dirty job.
Exactly.
So then, what's next for you? I know it's still a long way to go, but LA 2028 is it your next target?
Definitely. So obviously there's a lot of other competition on the build-up, but again, the main goal being LA 2028, and we'll start preparing for that. You know, end of this year we'll start putting plans together for how the next 3-4 years we're going to look on the build-up to that, and try and replicate, you know, the training and everything that we've done to now. When you're at an Olympic Games, you can be in good form, or any event for that matter, and you know what happens on the day happens on the day. Unfortunately, all you can do is make sure you've done the work before that. So we'll give the next 3 years a good shot, do everything we can, and see where we end up at the end.
Starting from next month in New Delhi for the World Cup final.
Definitely, that's the next one on the program.
So we had the pleasure to have you here in Promatic, which I believe it was your first time you visited the factory. What do you think about it?
Hugely impressed. I didn't realise quite how big the factory was, how big, you know, the facility you have here is, the amount of work and precision that goes into all the machines. I was a bit naive to that side of it, I'm afraid, but really enjoyed getting to see all the guys around the factory, get to see how everything's put together, see where everything's made and assembled, and yeah, the whole process it's been really good to see it and have a bit more of an understanding on the work that goes into the traps that we use all the time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here, and we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you for having me.